21 stories over 7 levels in one disturbing Iceberg video. Social media was clearly a mistake for humankind. I don't think that's even up for debate anymore. We are cooked. I have collated cases that start off disturbing, but the further down we go in this video, things just get worse and worse, until you're floundering in the abyss, wondering why you ever hit play on this video. Anyway, let's dive into this one together. Love ya. In 2020, 18-year-old Zachary Latham had built a TikTok following by filming himself driving expensive cars through his quiet New Jersey neighborhood. The louder the engines became, the more frustrated his neighbors grew.
What are you gonna do, Karen?
That's not my name, so get my name straight. Go ahead.
You okay, Karen? Go ahead, get my tag.
Go.
Get my tag, Karen.
My name is not Karen, so get my name straight.
Get my tag, it's okay.
A45MFA. Sir, there's an officer.
All because my car is loud. 3 cop cars.
Instead of calming things down, Latham began recording their complaints and posting them online.
Why are you guys recording when you came out of the house first?
She said you did.
No, I did not say that. You know what? I said you You're 18. Come on. You're 18. Come on. Get out of his face. Get out of his face. No.
Get out of my face.
Get out of his face. Oh, did you hit me? Did you hit me? Wow.
You did a little video, right?
Yeah.
One confrontation with Catherine Durham exploded across TikTok, collecting millions of views. Latham leaned into the attention, continued filming the family, and reportedly encouraged the drama as his following grew to around 40,000. Viewers were no longer watching a simple dispute about speeding. They were watching 2 households become increasingly hostile, with every new encounter carrying the possibility of another viral clip. On May 4th, the feud reached Latham's home. William Timmy Durham Sr., his wife and their 2 sons arrived to confront him after another argument. Latham said he believed he was facing a mob attack and armed himself with a sharp implement and a stun device. His wife recorded as the confrontation moved into the garage. By the time it ended, Durham had been struck several times with the sharp implement, including once in the lung. His time on this earth ended at the scene. Prosecutors argued that Latham had deliberately escalated the feud for social media fame. His defense said the Durham family entered his property and attacked him. In 2023, a jury accepted the self-defense argument and cleared him of every charge. But Latham's legal problems did not end there. After moving to Florida, he began dating a woman who later tried to end the relationship. Prosecutors said Latham followed her, forced her to drive him around, prevented her from escaping, and applied pressure to the neck until she briefly lost consciousness. Weeks later, he allegedly locked her inside his bathroom and attempted to stop her leaving again. Even after his arrest, messages were sent through a third party pressuring her over the case. In July 2026, Latham pleaded guilty to attempted kidnapping, domestic battery by strangulation, witness tampering, and related offences. He received 12 years in prison, followed by lengthy probation. There's a lot to digest here, but do let me know your thoughts on this case. Chen Chuan, better known online as Goodnight Chicken, built his audience through live streams inside abandoned buildings and locations associated with paranormal stories. His reputation grew significantly after a 2020 exploration of an abandoned hospital in Taipei led him to discover the mummified remains of a missing man. But Chen also attracted controversy for entering private properties, making claims authorities disputed, and producing encounters that some viewers suspected had been staged. In February 2024, Chen traveled from Taiwan to Cambodia with fellow streamer Lu Tzu Xian, known online as Anao. Their destination was Sihanoukville, a coastal city internationally associated with scam compounds, human trafficking, and the forced recruitment of workers into online fraud operations. That reputation became the setting for their next live stream. On February 12th, Chen began broadcasting while claiming that he had entered a scam compound. During the footage, a person wearing military-style clothing appeared to pursue him. Chen was seemingly attacked. The camera fell and the livestream abruptly ended. The disappearance spread across Taiwanese social media. More than 10,000 people reportedly watched the broadcast simultaneously, and tens of thousands of comments followed. Chen then uploaded material claiming that he and Lu had been kidnapped and needed help. His wife, still in Taiwan, appeared online in tears and announced that her husband was missing. The following day, Chen resurfaced in another live stream. He claimed he had escaped his captors, been robbed and assaulted, and had part of his head shaved during the ordeal. He displayed visible marks that appeared to support his account. However, viewers soon noticed problems with the story. Influencer Liu Yu analyzed the locations visible in Chen's footage and argued that he appeared to have run in circles rather than escaped across any meaningful distance. Others questioned why supposed kidnappers would steal money, but allow him to retain the equipment needed to continue broadcasting. Taiwan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs also said it had received no requests for assistance from Chen's family. Cambodian police located Chen and Lu in their hotel rooms on February 13th. Inside, investigators reportedly found the equipment used to manufacture the story, including military clothing, toy weapons, torn garments, wigs, masks, fake blood, and video production gear. Authorities also recovered what they described as a prepared script. The staged abduction had not only misled viewers, it had prompted real officials to search for Chen and used documented crimes against trafficking victims as entertainment. Cambodian authorities said the pair had traveled there, intending to create fabricated videos involving human smuggling, torture, and organ trading. 2 days after their arrest, Chen and Lu were convicted of incitement and causing social disorder. Each received a 2-year prison sentence and a fine of approximately $1,000. They were also banned from returning to Cambodia. At a public appearance before the media, both men knelt, apologized, and asked for another chance. Provincial Governor Kuok Chamron rejected the request, arguing that a warning would encourage similar stunts and damage Cambodia's reputation. Chen later described prison conditions as severe. Reports stated that he was held in a cell containing around 150 inmates, where overcrowding forced him to sleep while seated. Public sympathy remained limited. On March 20th, 2026, Chen and Lu were deported to Taiwan after serving their sentences. They were arrested immediately upon arrival at Taoyuan Airport on outstanding warrants connected to separate allegations, including fraud, property damage, and obstruction of freedom. The livestream, designed to appear like evidence of a kidnapping, ultimately became evidence of a deliberately misleading livestream. Before his name became attached to the insanity I am about to share with you, Terrian Thomas was known online as Mr. Prada, a TikTok creator followed by millions. He became popular through short comedy videos about school, relationships, and internet trends. He was also accused of recreating other TikTokers' clips, almost shot for shot. Rather than retreating when people complained, Thomas turned the criticism into part of his persona. TikTok users jokingly called themselves Mr. Prada victims whenever he interacted with their content. During 2024, however, some followers noticed a change. Thomas shaved his head and eyebrows, posted about loneliness, and announced that he was no longer Prada. Those videos attracted concern, but they offered no clear explanation for what followed.
Yeah, I think I might regret this, but I'm finna cut my hair off. How will I look bald? What the I don't know.
William Nicholas Abraham, or Nick, was recorded entering Thomas's apartment complex. Investigators say he was wearing the same clothes that he was later found in. The following morning, a passerby discovered Abraham beside a Louisiana highway, wrapped inside a blue tarpaulin. Authorities said his time on this earth had ended following extensive blunt force injuries to his head, neck, and shoulders. Attention quickly shifted back to the apartment building, Witnesses allegedly saw Thomas struggling to drag a large object wrapped in blue material downstairs before loading it into Abraham's vehicle. When investigators searched Thomas's apartment, they reported finding evidence of a violent confrontation, several possible weapons, and a significant amount of biological material later matched to Abraham. Police then spotted Thomas driving Abraham's missing car. During an attempted stop, the driver allegedly reversed into a police vehicle, escaped through a parking area, and abandoned the damaged car after one wheel came off. Authorities say Thomas reached a bus station and traveled more than 400 miles to Dallas, Texas, where he was arrested on October 1st. The online creator, who had once built an audience by being entertaining and controversial, was now at the center of an extraordinary criminal investigation. Thomas was initially accused of second-degree murder, obstruction of justice, and vehicle-related offenses. Because Abraham was older than 65, Louisiana law allowed prosecutors to pursue first-degree murder. A grand jury formally indicted Thomas in January 2025, and he pleaded not guilty. The internet immediately filled the void of information with theories about how the two men knew each other. Investigators have said there is no evidence Thomas was Abraham's client, and earlier allegations involving Abraham were unrelated to Thomas. No verified motive has been released. At the latest confirmed update, Thomas remained jailed without bond. Proceedings had been paused while two doctors assessed whether he was competent to stand trial, leaving the central questions unresolved. On May 13, 2025, 23-year-old Valeria Marquez was sitting inside Blossom Beauty Lounge, the salon she had opened the previous year in Zapopan, Jalisco. She was doing what had helped build her career, speaking directly to followers through TikTok. Valeria had spent years turning beauty, fashion, and lifestyle content into a public identity. She began modeling as a teenager, appeared in local campaigns, won the title of Miss Rostro in 2021, and later moved into cosmetology. By the time she opened her own salon, she had built a combined following of nearly 200,000 people across TikTok and Instagram. The live stream that afternoon initially looked ordinary. Valeria sat at a table, talking with viewers and holding a stuffed pink pig. But earlier in the broadcast, she had described something that unsettled her. A friend had reportedly called to say that somebody wanted to deliver an expensive gift. The delivery person had already arrived once, but Valeria had not been at the salon. According to what she told viewers, the person had insisted on waiting because the item was valuable. Valeria appeared uncertain about who could have sent it. At one point, she made a disturbing remark, suggesting that she believed someone might have intended to harm her. She also said she did not plan to wait for the person to return. She remained inside the salon. Later, a man arrived and called out to her, using the familiar name, Vale. Valeria confirmed who she was, then muted the live stream. Moments later, a deafening blast was heard and she was struck. The attack happened so quickly that viewers watching in real time had almost no opportunity to understand what they were seeing. The live stream continued for several seconds. Another person briefly appeared, picked up the phone and ended the broadcast. When officers arrived at around 6:30 that evening, Valeria's time on this earth had ended. Authorities said the attacker had presented himself as a delivery man. He reportedly fled on a motorcycle, while investigators also examined the presence of two men outside the salon, who left after the attack. The Jalisco prosecutor's office opened the case under its femicide protocol and said more than one possible suspect was being investigated. That classification did not establish a motive. It meant the death would be examined as a possible gender-related crime, including Valeria's relationships, previous threats, and the circumstances of the attack. Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum acknowledged the case and offered condolences to Valeria's family. Investigators announced that friends and relatives would be called as witnesses, while forensic teams examined the salon, available video and the movements of those present nearby. Online speculation spread almost immediately. Names of friends, acquaintances, and alleged criminal figures circulated without verified evidence. The case later appeared in a United States Treasury announcement concerning sanctions against senior members of the Jalisco New Generation cartel. One sanctioned figure, Ricardo Ruiz Velasco, was described as a suspect in Valeria's killing. That designation did not amount to a conviction, and the investigation remained separate from the many unsupported claims online. Flowers were placed outside Blossom the Beauty Lounge after her death. Her TikTok account was later closed, and even her grave was reportedly vandalized. The livestream is remembered because it captured the final minutes before the attack, but its real significance lies in what came before it. Valeria recognized that the unexplained delivery felt wrong, but how could she have known just how wrong things were about to go?
I'm not here to play games, people. I don't want your worship. I want your blood beside your brethren. We're taking over this world and we're getting out of here alive. That's what's up.
In February 2020, a Reddit user noticed something strange buried inside YouTube's conspiracy community. Two unrelated channels were uploading unsettling videos in which people spoke into cameras, reversed recordings, and searched the distorted audio for hidden messages. But it was the comments underneath that suggested something larger. The same accounts appeared repeatedly, greeting one another with phrases such as blood brother, blood sister, and blood thick. Following those accounts led to more channels, then dozens more. Each page linked outward to another collection of users, creating a network that seemed almost impossible to measure. Hidden among flat earth videos, occult discussions, and claims about reptilian beings was one ritual that connected them all. It was called blood over intent. The instructions were remarkably simple. A participant wrote a declaration on paper, usually promising to help bring heaven on earth. They then placed a small amount of their own blood across the words, filmed the process, and uploaded it publicly. The video was not merely evidence that the ritual had happened. Within the movement, being witnessed online was considered part of completing it. Once uploaded, the recordings attracted familiar comments. Other practitioners welcomed the newcomer as a blood brother or blood sister, subscribed to the channel, and added it to lists containing other participants. What looked like a private spiritual act, therefore, became permanently attached to a public account, surrounded by a community ready to reinforce its meaning. At the center of this maze was a Florida tradesman named Mark Braun, better known online as Quasi-Luminous. Braun claimed that on Christmas Eve in 2013, he uploaded the first blood over intent video and opened what he called the Book of Life. According to his teachings, the book could contain only 144,000 names. Performing the ritual was supposedly the way to be included and escape an endless cycle of suffering. Braun also claimed to be Satan in human form, normal. His wider worldview combined biblical language with flat earth beliefs, black holes, hidden rulers, and the idea that ordinary reality was a prison. Followers were told that paradise could be reached through a black hole at the center of the flat earth. Braun reduced the movement's central demand to a phrase he repeated bluntly, blood up or shut up. Not everybody who performed the ritual appeared to accept all of Braun's claims. Some encountered blood over intent secondhand through friendlier creators and treated it as a form of manifestation. Others said it improved their relationships, sharpened their perception, or helped them feel connected after periods of isolation. That flexibility made the movement easier to enter. A newcomer did not need to understand the entire belief system before participating. They only needed a piece of paper, a camera, and the conviction that publicly marking an intention might change their life. But the same simplicity created a serious problem. Videos showed people going further than a cautious finger prick, while some parents involved their children. Former participants uploaded warnings saying they had acted too quickly or believed they had invited something dangerous into their lives. Because the ritual had already been recorded and circulated, leaving was not as simple as quietly changing one's mind. The darkest connection appeared in Alberta, Canada. In early 2021, 19-year-old Dylan Pountney uploaded several blood over intent videos alongside material about flat earth, reptilian shapeshifters, demonic surveillance, and a world he believed had already ended. In one recording, he marked a handwritten declaration thanking Mr. Satan and said the movement was growing. On March 15, 2021, Pountney attacked Jennifer Winkler, 2 years his junior, inside Christ the King School in Leduc. Jennifer sadly passed as a result of her injuries, and Pountney was arrested nearby later that day. Investigators did not establish that blood over intent caused the attack, and experts caution that conspiracy beliefs alone do not automatically produce violence.
RCMP have charged 19-year-old Dylan Pountney with first-degree murder. He remains in custody. RCMP say Winkler and Pountney were known to each other, and Winkler's sister telling City News they are not related and not from the same household.
The online material, nevertheless, showed how deeply Pountney had entered overlapping worlds of paranoia, occult ritual, and apocalyptic thinking before the crime. He was later convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to life imprisonment, with no parole eligibility for 12 years. Blood Over Intent was never a conventional organization with buildings, membership cards, or a clear chain of command. That may be what made it so difficult to see. It spread through recommendations, comments, and personal videos, allowing strangers to initiate themselves while believing they had discovered hidden truth. The rabbit hole did not require anyone to recruit them face to face. YouTube did the introductions, the witnesses arrived in the comments, and the participants supplied the sacrifice themselves. Mona Lisa Perez and Pedro Ruiz III weren't just a couple, they were partners in ambition. The 19-year-old mother and her 22-year-old boyfriend had a dream. That dream was to become famous YouTubers. They envisioned a future where their channel would blow up, gaining millions and millions of subscribers. The couple living in Houston, Minnesota, started their YouTube journey in early 2017. Their videos were a mix of pranks, challenges, and family vlogs, the kind of light-hearted content that had turned countless internet personalities into celebrities. They documented everything, their lives as teen parents, some playful stunts, and their plans for the future. They were young, in love, and determined to make it big. Pedro in particular was obsessed with the idea of viral success. He would brainstorm ideas for wild stunts, ways to push boundaries and to stand out in an oversaturated platform. Mona Lisa played along, but there were moments where she seemed a little hesitant. She was supportive, but some ideas pushed her comfort zone. But if they really wanted it that badly, they believed that the more extreme their content got, the faster their channel would grow. Their content was mostly harmless at first. Mona Lisa would prank Pedro with baby powder on donuts, and they filmed playful, ridiculous challenges. They laughed together, celebrated milestones, and they shared their everyday lives. But underneath this fun was an undeniable pressure to keep upping the ante. Then came June the 26th, 2017, the day that everything changed, and they pushed it way too far. Pedro wanted to do something bold, something that would skyrocket their views, and that would put them on the front page of YouTube. He'd seen other people pull off dangerous stunts online, and he was convinced that they could do the same. The idea, he would hold a hardcover encyclopedia against his chest, while Mona Lisa shot a gun at it. The thick pages he believed would stop the bullet, but Mona Lisa had her doubts. She was hesitant, but Pedro just reassured her. He had actually tested it out before with a different book, and the bullet indeed hadn't gone through. He was certain that this would work. He begged his partner to do it, telling her it was safe, telling her this was their golden ticket to viral fame. What really makes everything about this story even worse is that Mona Lisa is 7 months pregnant at the time that the couple shot this video. Hours before the stunt, Mona Lisa even tweeted about it, writing, "Me and Pedro are probably going to shoot one of the most dangerous videos ever. His idea, not mine." It was clear that she had reservations, but she also trusted Pedro. She wanted to support his dream, and so she agreed. That evening, in front of 2 cameras and a group of nearly 30 onlookers, Mona Lisa stood 1 foot away from Pedro. She raised the .50 caliber Desert Eagle, and then she pulled the trigger. Pedro collapsed instantly. He wasn't moving. The moment the bullet struck Pedro, reality set in. Mona Lisa screamed, dropping the firearm. Panic quickly spread through the gathered crowd. Some people rushed forward, others froze. But everyone was horrified by what they had just witnessed. The cameras at this time were still rolling. Everything was captured. Mona Lisa grabbed her phone and dialed 911. Her voice was frantic, barely coherent. "We were doing a YouTube video and it went wrong," she sobbed. "It's all on recording." Emergency responders arrived quickly, but there was nothing they could do. The projectile had gone straight through the book and straight through Pedro's chest. In almost an instant, he was gone. And all of this for a stunt that was supposed to secure their future. Law enforcement took Mona Lisa into custody immediately. As officers questioned her, she kept repeating the same thing. "It was his idea. He wanted to do it. I didn't want to." News of Pedro's passing spread rapidly. It was the story of a YouTube stunt gone horribly wrong, and it made national headlines. Viewers rushed to their channel looking for clues, watching their previous videos, seeing the excitement in their eyes just hours before tragedy struck. Pedro's family was obviously devastated. He loved his family more than anything, his aunt said. They were in love. They wanted to do this together. It wasn't supposed to end like this. The law, however, didn't really care about intentions. Someone had died, and Mona Lisa Perez was the one who had pulled the trigger. The legal system moved swiftly. Mona Lisa was charged with second-degree manslaughter, a charge that carried a maximum prison sentence of 10 years. She faced the very real chance of losing everything: her children, her freedom, and the life that she had built with Pedro. Her defense team argued that Pedro had planned the entire stunt, that it was his idea, and that Mona Lisa had been pressured into going through with it. They played the video evidence showing that Pedro had been excited, confident, and insistent that the book would protect him.
A transcript of the audio reveals her hesitation. "Babe, I'm not doing this. I can't. If I kill you, what's going to happen to my life? Like, no, this isn't okay. As long as you hit the book, you'll be fine," Ruiz says. These pictures show she did.
It was reckless, they admitted, but this wasn't intentional murder. Ultimately, the court agreed to a plea deal. Mona Lisa was sentenced to just 6 months in jail, and she would serve it in 10-day increments over the course of 6 months. She would then remain on probation for 10 years and was banned from ever owning a firearm. Honestly, fair enough. The court also ruled that she could not profit from Pedro's passing. This meant no book deals, no movie rights, and no monetized videos. Pedro's family had mixed emotions about the verdict. Some believed that Mona Lisa had suffered enough, and that she should be left alone, allowed to raise her children. Others felt the sentence was far too lenient, given that a man had passed from her actions. Their story really is a cautionary tale, a stark warning about the price of viral fame, and the dangerous lengths that people will go through to chase it.
12, 13, I can hear y'all, 14, 15, I can see y'all, 16, 17, don't walk this way, because you're going to get caught, 18, 19, thank you, go the other way, you're making it too easy, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, because I'm tired of counting. Ready or not, here I come.
Ernest Wilson III was a 24-year-old Baltimore warehouse worker and aspiring entrepreneur who preferred organizing his own parties to visiting bars or clubs. He regularly turned games such as Monopoly, Uno, and hide and seek into drinking games, often broadcasting them on Facebook Live. In April 2020, Ernest rented a short-term property in Baltimore's Federal Hill neighborhood and promoted a game night openly on social media. He withheld the exact address from public posts, but invited anyone interested to message him for the location. He also advertised a $5 entry fee for every male guest and posted that he had dropped $200 in $1 bills. His followers therefore knew that people were paying to enter and that cash was present at the party. Footage from the evening showed approximately 15 guests drinking, dancing and eating pizza inside the rental. At 2:32 in the morning, Ernest began another live stream after the group decided to play hide and seek. He counted to 30 while his friends scattered, then walked through the property searching for them. And honestly, this is like something from a horror movie.
The front door locked, dumbass. I'm on your ass. 1, 2, 3. Who the made you?
I don't know. I'm in your face.
Get your dumb on the other side of this gate. Who the dumbass? This can't be one of my friends.
When Ernest entered the rear yard, a figure suddenly appeared climbing over the fence. Ernest pointed his phone towards the person and immediately questioned who they were. He said the individual could not be one of his friends and told them to return to the other side of the gate. After dropping into the yard, the intruder repeatedly ordered Ernest to get onto the ground. The phone then fell to the ground. Shouting and commotion could be heard before the Facebook live recording abruptly ended. Police were called to the 1100 block of South Charles Street at approximately 2:45 a.m. Ernest had been struck during the confrontation and was taken to hospital, where his time on this earth ended. Baltimore City Councilman Eric Costello later said, police believed 2 individuals had entered the property, announced a robbery and demanded money. The live stream appeared to capture one of them scaling the fence moments before the confrontation began. The public posts raised an obvious investigative question. Ernest had advertised the party, invited unfamiliar people to request the address, announced the entry charge, and revealed that he had hundreds of dollars in single bills. However, there was no confirmed evidence establishing whether the attackers had learned about the gathering from Facebook, obtained the address through an attendee, or discovered it through another source. Disturbingly, this could have been done by one of Ernest's friends. Despite the suspected intruder being partially captured on Ernest's own livestream, nobody has been charged in connection with his death.
Hey guys, so yesterday 2 FBI agents came over to my house and I spoke with them about Children of the Waning Stars and a few other things.
On July 10th, 2025, TikTok creator Gigi Jarvis opened a video with a sentence designed to stop people scrolling.
I'm starting a cult and you guys are all going to be a part of it.
At first, it appeared ridiculous. Jarvis proposed Victim of the Week, where the person who posted the funniest picture would have their profile image copied by her. She invited viewers to suggest holidays and rules for the new society. It looked less like a genuine belief system and more like an improvised internet game. But TikTok rewards participation, and Jarvis had created something viewers could immediately help build. The following day, she returned as the cult leader and allowed popular comments to become law.
Hi, cult leader here. We have a popular cult member request and I want to make it law. But I was wondering what day you guys think we should do this on and also what we should do each month. I saw a member suggest that we use lime emojis for the day because ew. And then I saw another one say that maybe each month we comment photos of our animals as a sacrifice. Those are just some suggestions.
Voting turned the comment section into a writer's room for an expanding fictional universe. In another video, she joked that she had gaslit viewers into joining and listed reasons she was supposedly qualified to lead them. The delivery was exaggerated, but the language was shareable. Cults, cancellation, evil behavior, secret agreements, and TikTok shop marketing.
The time has finally come. We're going to name the cult. A lot of members have been asking about it, and I kind of want to start a Wikipedia page or a Reddit page of our lore, so we definitely need a name. Think of something clever. The member that has the highest like comment on this video will be naming our cult, so make sure you vote wisely.
The series began reaching people beyond her audience. Then, the joke adopted a symbol. Jarvis asked followers to choose an emoji combination identifying members. She described it as though she were branding the symbol onto their skin. The winning design combined a fingerprint with a star. She then told viewers to place it in their biographies, while joking that she would enter their homes and carve it into them while they slept. Within days, they appeared across TikTok.
Congratulations, we have officially named our cult, Children of the Waning Star, or CWS for short. There were a lot of votes for the name Star Prince. Would we like to use that name to address ourselves as the members, or should we vote on a different name? Anyways, be on the lookout for the next meeting because we will be speaking about the entity.
On July 13th, the community received its name, Children of the Waning Star. The mythology also gained a supernatural presence.
Many members have mentioned an entity come and visit them. Was the entity the waning star itself, or maybe a mythical creature that guards the star? Please let me know on this video. The member that has the most people agree with them will be talked about in tomorrow's meeting. Once we figure out what the entity is, we can then name it and then provide offerings.
Thousands of strangers were no longer merely watching one creator. They were repeating the symbols, calling Jarvis their leader, and contributing stories about a shared entity. Dedicated spaces reportedly appeared on Discord, allowing the mythology to continue beyond the original videos.
Hey guys, so I wanted to come on here as my actual self and be transparent as I can about everything going on because it's insane. But yeah, a lot of people have been asking me like, what exactly are we and what are our goals moving forward? And I just wanted to make sure we were on the same page.
By the fifth day, Jarvis had gained roughly 150,000 followers, and the reaction had become overwhelmingly negative. Former members of real high-control groups argued that using cult language as entertainment trivialized experiences involving coercion, isolation, and abuse. Others feared young viewers might take the fictional rituals literally. Rumors spread that followers were carving symbols into themselves or planning animal sacrifices. These claims circulated widely, but no verified evidence established that such incidents occurred. Jarvis appeared without the cult leader persona and tried to explain what the project had become. She said she wanted an inclusive community built around kindness, voting, and creative participation.
Hey guys, so we're not going to use the word cult anymore to describe us. Which honestly makes sense because we're just a community that uses dark aesthetics. No one is actually doing rituals or sacrificing an animal, I hope. Also, like I said in my last video, because of using the word cult and it being clickbaity and it's the reason why the platform grew so fast, I would love to post resources about all of that. I'm looking into that right now.
She rejected suggestions that members should pay subscriptions or complete initiations, telling viewers they did not need to prove themselves worthy. However, the explanation revealed how far the project had moved beyond its opening joke. Jarvis now spoke about large events, mental health resources, educational material about real cults, and a movement she believed had become bigger than herself. Even while reassuring critics, she continued referring to followers as members and described herself as helping guide the community. Soon afterward, she announced that they would no longer use the word cult. The Children of the Waning Star would instead be described as a darkly themed community.
Hey guys, if we had an accessory so we could spot out other people from our community out in public, what should it be? Like, is it a pin, a bracelet, a sock, and also is it a certain color scheme? Whoever has an idea with the most amount of likes will be talked about in tomorrow's video, so let me know.
She restarted the series as Starting a Community, Day 1, but the replacement failed to escape the controversy. On July 17th, she formally ended the project.
Guys, we're going to be in the documentary about starting a cult soon. No, you guys are going to be in the documentary about cyberbullying a girl from rumors caused by groupthink and fear-mongering. I doubt you guys are even going to watch this video too, but I'm going to get into it and air all of you out. Cult is a bad word and you should have known better. Okay, well, I didn't, and the second I did get informed, I immediately changed everything to community because that's what it's always been. And if it's common sense, then why did 150,000 people also put the little emoji in their name tag?
The experiment had lasted approximately 5 days. Jarvis later apologized for the language she had used and said she never supported harmful behavior. She described the concept as a voting-based choose-your-own-adventure game that had expanded faster than she could control. She also said she'd faced harassment and the release of personal information during the backlash. Children of the Waning Star was probably never a functioning cult. There was no verified doctrine, enforced membership, or demonstrated system of coercive control.
Hey guys, so yesterday 2 FBI agents came over to my house and I spoke with them about Children of the Waning Stars and a few other things.
What it did reveal was how quickly TikTok could manufacture a seemingly organized cult or community. A joke became a shared identity. The identity acquired symbols. The symbols produced mythology, rumors, and devoted followers. By the time its creator tried to rename it, the audience had learned the most important rule of online communities. Once thousands of people begin writing the story together, the person who started it may no longer control where it goes.
But yeah, I really care about the well-being of you guys, so just know that I'm doing everything I can to help out and make things better.
Mike Clifford's online presence feels less like the return of a forgotten celebrity and more like a small window that has somehow remained open for 60 years. In 1962, Clifford was 18 years old when Close to Kathy reached number 12 on the American charts. He appeared on The Ed Sullivan Show, toured with Dick Clark's Caravan of Stars, and performed during an era when pop singers were presented as immaculate, smiling symbols of youth. For a brief period, Mike belonged completely to that world. But, unlike most performers associated with the early 1960s, he never entirely disappeared. Now in his 80s, Mike remains active online, recording covers and creating homemade music videos in front of beaches, sunsets, flowers, and brightly colored digital backgrounds. His YouTube channel contains performances uploaded across several years, including a new version of Fields of Gold posted in 2026. The song was also released to streaming platforms that March. The videos are cheerful, but watching several together can produce a strangely uncomfortable form of nostalgia. Mike often dresses in patterned shirts or sparkling jackets, opens his arms towards the camera, and performs as though the brightly lit television studios of his youth are still waiting just beyond the screen. He appears to be doing something he has loved since he was a teenager. Yet the videos also reveal something that old recordings normally allow us to avoid. Footage from the 1960s preserves people at one fixed point. The performers remain young, the audience remains excited, and the world surrounding them never moves forward. Mike's modern videos break that illusion. The teenage singer from The Ed Sullivan Show is still here, continuing the same performance as the decades visibly accumulate around him. His channel and his social media presence feels like a strange portal. It connects two versions of the same person, the young performer reaching the beginning of his career, and the older man still singing after most of that world has vanished. I'm intrigued by people that make attempts to hold on to their youth and their youthful appearance. I honestly think it's incredible to see someone go from having a young physical form to creating a kind of exaggerated facsimile of who they once were. It creates a feeling within me that I can't actually nail down. Mike does not appear to be recreating his past perfectly. He appears to be keeping a small piece of it alive for as long as he possibly can. And perhaps the strange feeling comes from knowing that no matter how brightly the music plays, the era he is reaching towards is already gone. Time is a cruel mistress. Before Mahek Bakari became known for one of Britain's most shocking TikTok-related cases, her online life looked carefully polished. Posting as Maybe, she built an audience with fashion hauls, beauty-related videos, restaurant visits, and clips featuring her mother, Ansreen. Their relationship became part of the brand. They filmed dance trends, attended events together, and presented themselves less like mother and daughter than best friends sharing the same glamorous social life. By 2021, she had nearly 200,000 TikTok followers and another 50,000 on Instagram. Brand deals, affiliate links, and invitations made social media feel like a genuine career. Mother Ansreen, once largely confined to family life, was drawn into that world too, enjoying parties, attention, and a new sense of personal freedom. Behind that image, Ansreen was hiding a relationship with an 18-year-old man named Saqib Hussain. The pair had met online and continued seeing each other for roughly 3 years. Saqib sent gifts to the family home and met Ansreen in hotels, while her husband and children knew nothing about the affair. When Ansreen eventually tried to end it, Saqib refused to disappear quietly. Messages showed him repeatedly contacting her, threatening to reveal intimate photographs and videos to her husband and son. He also demanded £3,000, which he said represented money he had spent during the relationship. When Mahek discovered what was happening, she became directly involved. She strongly disliked Saqib and told friends that she wanted him dealt with. A late-night meeting was arranged at a Tesco car park in Leicester. supposedly so the money could be returned and the dispute settled. On February 11, 2022, Saqib travelled from Banbury with his friend Hashim Ijazuddin, who had agreed to drive him. Waiting at the car park were Mahek, Ansreen and several others. Some were wearing masks and at least one had brought a weapon. Saqib immediately sensed danger. Hashim drove away, but 2 cars followed. The pursuit moved on to the A46, where speeds reached around 100 miles per hour. During the chase, Saqib called emergency services from the passenger seat. He told the operator that masked people were following them and trying to force their car from the road. Moments later, the Skoda left the carriageway, struck the central reservation, and split apart before catching fire. Both men's time on this earth ended at the scene. The cars behind them did not stop. Mahek and her mother later claimed they had only wanted to talk and that Hashim had lost control. Their behavior after the crash told a different story. The group exchanged messages about what to say, attempted to conceal who had been present, and lied about travelling to Nottingham rather than Leicester.
The silver car, I don't know which brand it was, model, it's come zooming down. I've kept the second to 3 second rule gap, and there's the blue Leons in front, and I'm at the back. This silver car's come and cut into the middle, so we're basically all 3 cars very close. I braked, so I looked at my mum and I goes, Mum, what is going on? What is wrong with, are they, I don't know if they're drunk, what are they trying to do to this blue car in general? So Mum with me, like I said, leave it. You're not involved. You don't know what's going on. You just go straight on and leave it. I goes, okay, that's fine.
The glamorous online partnership of Mahek and Ansreen was now replaced by starkly contrasting images of the pair sitting together in court. In 2023, both were convicted of 2 counts of murder. Mahek received a life sentence with a minimum term of 31 years and 8 months. Appeal judges later reduced that minimum to 26 years and 285 days, finding that insufficient weight had been given to her age and immaturity. The conviction remained untouched. Sometimes it seems like a small taste of fame is all it takes for someone to throw their old life into a burning dumpster.
Grab him by the scruff of the neck and say, you're going to be with me, I'm going to be with you. That's going to probably land you in jail, be a creep.
The promise behind Twin Flames' universe was impossible to resist. Somewhere in the world, followers were told, existed their perfect divine counterpart. Meeting them would not simply produce romance. It could supposedly unlock spiritual growth, financial abundance, and a permanent state of harmony. For people who felt lonely, rejected, or uncertain about their future, the idea offered something stronger than dating advice. It promised that with the right guidance, they could have everything they ever dreamed of. At the center of the organization were Jeff and Shalaya Devine, a married couple who met online in 2012. Jeff, born Jeffrey Iron, had studied business before moving to California and Hawaii. Shalaya, born Megan Plant, had worked as a Reiki practitioner and psychic. Together they began uploading spiritual relationship videos before establishing Twin Flames Universe in 2017. Their message was simple. Everybody had a twin flame, but finding that person required the correct spiritual education. That education was sold through courses, coaching and video packages that could cost followers thousands of dollars. However, former members said the search for love became far more controlling. Jeff and Shalaya did not merely teach followers how to recognize a connection, they claimed they could confirm who somebody's twin flame was. Once that person had been identified, members were encouraged to pursue the relationship and interpret rejection as another stage of the spiritual process. This created an obvious contradiction. If the connection had been ordained by the universe, then a restraining order, blocked telephone number, or repeated refusal could be reframed as resistance rather than a final answer. Former members have said some followers continued contacting unwilling targets, leading in several cases to stalking accusations, police involvement, and legal restrictions. The organization's central technique was called the mirror exercise. A follower would identify something another person had done to upset them, rewrite the complaint in the first person, and search for the same fault within themselves. Presented as a method of healing, it made almost every conflict the follower's responsibility. If a relationship failed, the problem was supposedly still inside them, If the teaching felt harmful, that discomfort could also be treated as something they needed to correct. Former member Jesse Hersey later described how this logic affected people behind the scenes. According to Jesse, fear, anger, and doubt were repeatedly redirected back at followers, while members were expected to watch lessons, perform exercises, promote the organization, and sell its products. When people began leaving, she said they were criticized and portrayed as dishonest or spiritually blocked. The promises also expanded beyond relationships. Jeff adopted the title Father Christ, while Shalea became Mother Christ. Their Church of Union presented the couple and their daughter as part of a divine ruling family. The organization promoted a mind alignment process that claimed to address serious psychological trauma, while the leaders were also reported to have made extraordinary claims about healing physical illnesses. Then came one of the most disturbing allegations. Because most followers were women, some members were paired with other women despite saying they were not attracted to them. Former participants alleged that Jeff and Shalea assigned each couple one divine masculine and one divine feminine, then insisted those roles had been confirmed by God. Members have described changing names, pronouns, clothing, and appearance to fit the identities selected for them. Some reportedly pursued medical transition while inside the group. Twin Flames Universe denies coercing anyone and says its members retain complete autonomy. It has repeatedly rejected the description of the organization as a cult, arguing that its teachings are based on love, spiritual development, and mutual respect. But scrutiny continued. 2 documentary series released in 2023 brought former members' allegations to a global audience. The group later hired a crisis communications company and participated in a televised interview intended to answer its critics. Then, on July 1, 2025, the dispute moved beyond documentaries and online testimony. Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel announced a criminal investigation into Twin Flames Universe. State, federal, and local officers executed search warrants at 2 properties connected to the organization after a judge found probable cause that crimes may have been committed by its leadership. The specific suspected offenses were not publicly identified. Twin Flames Universe began as a divine dating service, promoted through social media. The danger alleged by former members was that once Jeff and Shalea supplied their advice, they also claimed authority over what rejection meant, who followers should become, and how much of themselves they needed to surrender before paradise arrived. Late on August 15, 2025, Yareli Ashley Hermosillo was traveling through Glendale, Arizona, with the people closest to her. Her husband, Daniel Salgado, was driving. Their young son and Yareli's mother were seated behind them, while Yareli sat in the front passenger seat. They had no involvement in the confrontation developing between 2 other vehicles. Yareli was 27 and had built an audience of more than 300,000 people across Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Her videos centered on cooking, baking, local restaurants, and family life. Although viewers knew her through recipes and lifestyle posts, her relatives described motherhood as the most important part of her life. Daniel later said she was the person who held the family together, someone who joked with them, cared for them, and would abandon her own plans whenever another person needed support. That evening, shortly before midnight, 2 pickup trucks were traveling east along Camelback Road. Police said their drivers began arguing while still moving through traffic. When they reached the intersection of 51st Avenue and Camelback Road, both vehicles stopped at a red light, but the dispute continued. One pickup occupied the center lane, the other stopped to its right. Daniel then brought the family's Chevrolet to a stop in the left lane, beside the center pickup. Neither he nor Yareli had any apparent reason to know that the argument beside them was about to escalate. Police allege that the driver in the center lane, 33-year-old Jesus Dustin, produced a handgun. However, instead of directing it towards the motorist, with whom he had been arguing on his right, he allegedly pointed it towards his own driver's side window and fired to the left. A deafening blast was heard, and Yareli was struck. The single round passed through the passenger window of her family's vehicle. Daniel immediately drove towards a nearby hospital, rather than waiting at the intersection. Yereli's mother and son remained in the back seat throughout the journey. Neither was physically injured, but Daniel was left attempting to save his wife, while their child witnessed the immediate aftermath. Yereli's time on this earth, sadly, ended shortly after she reached the hospital. The apparent randomness of the direction in which the weapon was fired became central to the case. Glendale Police Sergeant Brian Hoskins publicly questioned why anyone would fire towards a vehicle they had not even recognized was there. The family had not exchanged words with either driver. Their only connection to the confrontation was the lane in which they happened to stop. Investigators began collecting footage from numerous surveillance cameras around Glendale. By following a white GMC Sierra from one location to another, homicide detectives identified its registered owner. Police then traced the suspect's movements through additional records and locations he had visited after the incident. The following evening, officers searched a Phoenix property and recovered 2 handguns. Dowston was later arrested at his apartment in Glendale. He was accused of second-degree murder, aggravated assault, misconduct involving weapons and endangerment, and was held on a $1 million bond. The charges remained allegations to be resolved through the normal legal processes. For Daniel, the legal case could not alter what happened inside the car. He spoke afterwards about the particular helplessness of losing his wife while sitting beside her and being unable to stop it. Their son continued expecting his mother to appear during familiar routines, including walks and bedtime. The family had also recently moved into a new apartment, while Yareli's online career was beginning to grow. Those plans ended because 2 strangers argued at a traffic light, and one person allegedly chose to fire in a direction where an uninvolved family happened to be waiting. This is one of those cases that is so senseless it's hard to fathom.
It hurts to lose your other half, but when it happens in front of you, and you can't do nothing, it's a different type.
Manifestaciones políticas. En el caso de Park y Bones, ambos organizaron al menos una cena de gala para recaudar.
On February 14, 2017, listeners of the Dominican radio program Milenio Caliente were following what appeared to be another ordinary broadcast. From FM 103.5 in San Pedro de Macorís, presenter Luis Manuel Medina was seated behind a microphone, reading the morning news while simultaneously streaming the program through Facebook Live. Medina had worked in broadcasting for approximately 25 years. Alongside his radio career, he was widely recognized as the stadium announcer for the Estrellas Orientales baseball team. His colleague Leonidas Martinez was the program's producer, presenter, and the director of the radio station. Together, they had helped build Milenio Caliente into a long-running local program known for discussing political, social, and community issues.
En diversas manifestaciones políticas. En el caso de Park y Bones, ambos organizaron al menos una cena de gala para recaudar.
During the live stream, 2 loud blasts could suddenly be heard from elsewhere inside the station. Medina stopped speaking and looked away from his microphone, his eyes following something outside the camera's view. A female employee, Diana Garcia, could then be heard shouting that blasts had been heard. The broadcast ended moments later. The first attack had occurred in an adjoining office, where Martinez was seriously struck. The attacker then moved towards the recording studio and confronted Medina. Both broadcasters' time on this earth ended inside their workplace. Garcia was also struck in the stomach and required hospital treatment, but she survived. The station was located on the 2nd floor of a busy shopping center. The attack happened during the daytime, inside an established media organization, making it an unprecedented event. For many Dominican journalists, the Facebook Live recording captured only Medina's reaction and the sounds from outside the booth, but it immediately became the defining record of the attack. Police identified 59-year-old Jose Rodriguez as their primary suspect after reviewing surveillance footage. Rodriguez had been involved in a prolonged dispute with the State Sugar Council concerning 3 plots of land he had purchased. He had previously visited the radio station while attempting to raise complaints connected to the dispute. Approximately 36 hours after the attack, Officers located Rodriguez. Police said he then fired at them while they attempted to detain him, before then changing his target to himself, sharp implement in hand. His time on this earth too came to an end. Some local reports and neighbours questioned that account and claimed he had been fatally struck during an exchange with officers. A forensic examination found one injury to his head and described his passing as a probable self-inflicted act. Because the only identified suspect was dead, questions about the motive immediately intensified. Medina had covered politics and had recently discussed pollution at the protected Laguna Malén Lake. This led some journalists to fear that the attack might have been connected to the station's reporting, or that someone else could have directed it. However, a commission appointed by the Dominican government found no evidence that Medina or Martinez had any financial interest in Rodriguez's land purchases. Its report concluded that the attack was directly connected to his conflict with the state Sugar Council. The commission's most plausible explanation was that Rodriguez arrived at the station carrying documents and seeking answers, then lost control when the journalist could not resolve his complaint. Even that report admitted that the reason he directed his anger towards 3 uninvolved station employees remained difficult to explain. Eric Stelzer was a towering figure both literally and figuratively. At 6 feet 8 and nearly 300 pounds of muscle, he embodied the extreme fitness lifestyle. His YouTube channel was filled with weightlifting routines, with body transformation videos, and kind of aggressive motivational speeches about pushing the human body to its limits. For his audience, he was an inspiration, someone who had seemingly mastered discipline and self-control. But for those who knew him personally, the cracks had started to show. Behind the camera, his world was falling apart. His obsession with fitness had intensified, but it had now turned into something more concerning, something darker. Friends noticed his behavior becoming erratic. He started to talk about people watching him, and he insisted that he was being followed. Paranoia wrapped itself around his daily routine, and soon it became impossible to ignore. Still, to his growing online fanbase, none of this was visible. They didn't have a clue. His videos instead painted him as a picture of a man at his peak, someone powerful, confident, and in control. The real Eric Stelzer, however, was beginning to spiral. And as his mind unraveled, a nightmare was about to unfold, and everything would end in disaster. The signs were there, but no one knew how quickly things would escalate. Eric's family had seen the shifts in his personality firsthand, his paranoia deepening, his delusions intensifying. He now spoke about shadowy figures watching over him. He was convinced that unseen forces were conspiring against him. His erratic behavior went beyond mere anxiety. It was the unraveling of a man who no longer trusted reality. On Christmas Day, his family finally made the call. EMTs arrived, assessing Eric for a psychotic episode. But instead of taking him in, they determined that he was lucid enough to know his own name and the date. So this wasn't enough to warrant a hospitalization. He was left at home, his mind racing, spiraling deeper into delusion. The next day though, his family took matters into their own hands. They hired a team to intervene, to bring him to an inpatient facility where he could finally receive the help that he so desperately needed. However, they would never get the chance. 2 days after Christmas, the situation exploded. Eric had matched with a woman on Tinder. She was 24-year-old Megan Tapley. What started as a date would soon turn into a scene of unimaginable violence. And by the time police arrived at his home that night, Eric Stelzer was an immediate danger to himself and to everyone around him. Megan had no idea what she was walking into. She had met Stelzer through Tinder. It was a casual connection that had taken a sudden, horrifying turn. When she arrived at his home on December the 27th, the atmosphere quickly turned. Something was wrong, and then the melee began. Neighbours would later report hearing screams and sounds of a struggle. Inside the house, Eric, for some reason, had turned on Megan, and he had done so with unimaginable brutality. He attacked her with a sharp implement, plunging at her face, her body, her hands, all as she tried desperately to fight him off. He tore out chunks of her hair, and red splattered the walls. Amazingly, at some point, Megan managed to break free, and she ran for her life as the assault continued. When police arrived at the scene at around 10 p.m, they walked into a nightmare. They saw a woman barely clinging to consciousness. Her face was in a bad way. She was later told that she may lose an eye. Eric was still there, and he wasn't calming down. He was still armed and still attacking. Officers made a split-second decision, and they drew their tasers, aimed, and fired. But no one could have predicted what would happen next. The taser struck and Eric went rigid. His body convulsed as thousands of volts coursed through him. But even as he staggered, he didn't immediately collapse. Officers then hit him again, and then again. 4 times in total they deployed the non-lethal weapon, meant to merely incapacitate him. And it did work, but it worked far too well. As soon as the struggle ended, EMTs moved in, securing him for transport. But en route to the hospital, Eric Stelzer's breathing slowed, and then it stopped altogether. Within minutes, the fitness influencer, the man who had built his brand around strength and endurance, around control, was gone. His father was the first to cry foul. He accused the police of excessive force, insisting that his son was in a mental health crisis, not a criminal act. He was my life, his father later wrote in a social media post. This is not over. But for Megan Tapley, the woman that Eric had attacked, there was no question of his innocence. She had barely survived. Her body was scarred, her vision forever altered. She knew that her attacker would never face justice in a courtroom. He would have no trial, there would be no sentencing, but perhaps he had already faced the ultimate justice. The investigation into Eric's death would linger. Medical reports would confirm that the tasers were a contributing factor, but they weren't the only cause. And for the people left behind, the questions would never fully go away. In this instance, due to the nature of his crimes, Eric Stelzer's channel was removed from YouTube.
On Monday of this week, my children were the targets of attempted kidnap. And I want to share that story with you in an effort to raise awareness and to just encourage parents to be more aware of their surroundings.
On December 7th, 2020, Sadie Vega Martinez went to a Michael's craft store in Petaluma, California, with one simple goal. She needed a baby Jesus for the nativity scene on her Christmas table. She pulled on sweatpants, tied up her hair, and brought her husband, Eddie Martinez, along for the short drive. Inside, they moved through aisles of paint, glitter, and holiday decorations. They did not speak to Kathleen Katie Sorensen, a local parenting influencer shopping with her 2 young children. According to Sadie, they did not even notice her. Katie, however, noticed them. After leaving the store, she called police and reported that a couple had followed her and behaved suspiciously around her children. At that stage, she did not claim anyone had tried to take a child. Officers searched the area, but the account did not describe a clear crime, and police did not issue a public warning. 6 days later, Katie took the story to Instagram.
He gets out of his car and starts walking towards looks for a while, and then just turns around and gets back in his car. And I was like, oh, that was weird. Maybe he thought he recognized me or something. I don't know. So I get the kids in the stroller and we go into the store and they come in and they walk kind of close behind me. I definitely felt the heebie-jeebies. I didn't feel good, but I thought I was judging a book by its cover. They were not like kind. That sounds bad, but they weren't clean cut individuals. But then I hear them talking and they are describing in detail the characteristics of my children. They're saying blonde hair, blue eyes. The gentleman said to whomever he was talking to on the phone or whatever, sorry, the boy will be easier because he's not wearing a mask, so the mom must not really care about him that much.
Filming herself from the driver's seat, she described what she presented as a near abduction. She said a man and woman had followed her through the store. commented on her children, and circled her vehicle in the parking lot. Most seriously, she claimed the man had tried to grab her son's stroller before an older bystander noticed what was happening and caused the couple to flee. Those details had not been included in her first report. Katie said she was sharing the story to warn other parents. The videos received more than 4 million views and brought tens of thousands of new followers to her account. She repeated the allegations in a local television interview, while warnings spread through community Facebook groups and Nextdoor. For many viewers, the story fitted a familiar fear: children being taken by strangers in public places. Petaluma also carried the memory of the 1993 abduction of Polly Klaas, a case that had left a permanent mark on the city. Katie's warning therefore landed in a community already familiar with that kind of panic. Sadie learned about the accusation from her daughter. Her daughter showed her a police alert containing a blurred image of the suspected couple at the Michaels checkout. Sadie immediately recognized Eddie's black hoodie. She had bought it for him. Until that moment, the Martinez family had no idea their ordinary shopping trip had become a viral kidnapping story. Hours later, police asked them to come to the station. Sadie and Eddie consulted a relative who was an attorney and agreed to cooperate fully. They told investigators they had never followed Katie, discussed her children, or attempted to touch the stroller. Friends began reporting the viral video, while people who knew Eddie through his work as a local UPS driver contacted police to support the couple. Store surveillance footage became central to the investigation. Police said the video and the Martinez's account resoundingly contradicted Katie's version. No witness or physical evidence supported the alleged kidnapping attempt, and the investigation into Sadie and Eddie was closed. The focus then shifted to Katie. She was charged with 3 counts of knowingly making a false report. Jurors acquitted her over statements made during her first contacts with police, but convicted her over the more detailed account she gave to a detective after the Instagram videos went viral. In June 2023, she was sentenced to 90 days in jail, with 60 days eligible for work release. She was also placed on probation, temporarily banned from social media, and ordered to complete implicit bias training. For Sadie and Eddie, the verdict cleared their names, but it could not erase what had happened. Their faces had been circulated beside claims of child abduction, and Sadie said the family became more hesitant about being recognized in public. It took her 6 months to return to Michael's. When Katie eventually returned to Instagram after her social media restriction ended, she defended herself and criticized the handling of the case. It's worth noting that Katie did not offer Sadie and Eddie a direct apology.
She thought we were easy targets. And unfortunately, she was wrong. We obviously feel bad that she's a mother and going to jail, but her lack of remorse for what she'd done, hopefully this will teach her a lesson.
And believes Sorensen's false allegations were racially motivated.
She wanted a stronger following. She was looking for, content for her fame and her income, and at our expense.
I want to start off by quickly saying, never do this stuff. I don't endorse it. And in fact, I discourage you from doing anything like this, ever. In 2019, TikTok users were promised something almost magical, a way to change their eye color using ingredients sitting around the house. The so-called Bright Eye Challenge was linked to creator Greg Lammers and presented like an experiment. Users mixed jelly, hand sanitizer, shaving cream and bleach inside a plastic bag, then pressed it against one eye. Edited videos appeared to show dark irises becoming bright blue. The effect was fake. The danger was not. Bleach can seriously damage the surface of the eye, while alcohol-based sanitizer can cause chemical irritation and burns. Holding those substances against the face increased the chance of them leaking onto the skin or into the eye. Some participants reported irritation after copying the trend, although there are no confirmed reports that anyone permanently lost their sight. However, had things just gone a little more wrong, there's no doubt this could have left people blinded for life. The following year brought another shortcut for changing your eye color. Well, not. Videos using the S5 filter encouraged people to hold a phone flash close to their eye to reveal its true color. Nothing changed. The intense light merely made the iris appear clearer on camera. Users soon posted follow-up clips complaining about pain, blurred vision, and temporary flash blindness. There were also some sneaky creators that had used colored contact lenses or editing tricks, making the result look convincing while viewers copied the dangerous part for real. Both trends followed the same pattern: an impossible promise, a convincing video, and an audience willing to test it before asking whether it was safe. TikTok later removed material connected to the challenges, but only after the tricks had spread. Again, don't try any of this at home. On the evening of July 6, 2017, 22-year-old Nicole Barabasova was traveling through the Czech Republic in a Volkswagen driven by her friend, identified in reports as Nicola V. Nicole sat in the passenger seat, holding a phone and broadcasting their journey on Facebook Live. At first, the stream appeared pretty fun, if not a little awkward. The two women laughed together. They asked viewers if there were any meetups happening and updated everyone on what they were doing. Nicola's grandmother even called her up, and they spoke about plans for the following days. Seeing Nicola's lack of attention to the road and lack of hands on the wheel, it really sets the scene for what happens next. Nicole occasionally looked away from the camera towards the road, while Nicola continued accelerating. Their speed became part of the broadcast itself. Nicole announced that the car had reached 120 kilometers per hour, then suggested they were attempting to go faster. The video showed how quickly the atmosphere inside the Volkswagen changed. Only moments earlier, the women had been joking with the people watching online. As they approached the village of Obranice, Nicole suddenly reacted to something ahead. The vehicle began to shudder while Nicola appeared to fight for control. The Volkswagen then struck a roadside barrier and overturned. The force of the collision threw Nicole forwards and knocked the phone from her hand. However, the Facebook Live broadcast continued. The device came to rest inside the damaged car, with its camera facing part of a seatbelt. The laughter, conversation, and music were replaced by silence and the repetitive sound of the windscreen wipers, which had been activated during the impact. A passing motorist soon approached the vehicle. His voice could be heard through the unattended phone as he asked whether the women were all right. Emergency responders later arrived and began working at the scene, while the live stream continued transmitting from inside the car. Reports stated that approximately 20 minutes passed before a member of the emergency services finally stopped the broadcast. The full video is over 40 minutes long. Nicole did not survive the collision. Nicola was taken to hospital and placed in intensive care with a serious head injury. The recording spread rapidly across Facebook and was copied onto other websites, allowing hundreds of thousands of people to witness the moments preceding the crash and the response afterwards. Her mother reportedly requested photographs and ordinary videos of her daughter from friends to counteract what everyone had seen of her final moments. Police examined the footage as part of their investigation into the speed of the Volkswagen and the circumstances that caused Nicola to lose control. The live stream had captured the rising speed, the distraction inside the vehicle, the collision, and the arrival of the first person to offer help. We forget it all too easily, but cars are weapons too.
Yo, this building is on fire. I'm at work. Somebody send help. We're in South Park. Help!
On the morning of May 18th, 2023, DeMonte Tyree Sherrill arrived at an unfinished apartment complex in Charlotte, North Carolina, for only his third day on the job. The 30-year-old father of four was fitting windows alongside Reuben Holmes, a construction worker from Alabama. At around 9 a.m., a fire began inside a spray foam insulation trailer on the ground floor. The building was still under construction, filled with exposed timber and incomplete safety systems. Once the flames reached the structure, they spread with extraordinary speed. More than 100 workers began escaping, but DeMonte and Reuben were trapped several floors above the fire. Reuben called his supervisor and told him the building was burning, and they could not find a way out. DeMonte then started live streaming. Holding material over his mouth, he calmly explained that he was at work in South Park and trapped inside with another man.
Yo, I'm at South Park right now, at work, the building on fire, and I can't get out. It's getting harder and harder for them to see us. We're gonna have to stand out here, man, so to see. The building on fire, I'm trapped inside, me and my man. Hey! Help! Hey! Yo, this building is on fire. I'm at work. Somebody send help. We're at South Park.
Smoke was gathering behind them. As visibility worsened, his voice changed. He began shouting for help, repeating their location in the hope that somebody watching could guide rescuers towards them. Members of DeMonte's family saw the broadcast as it happened. His fiancée was also speaking to him by phone while the building filled with smoke. Outside, firefighters had arrived within minutes. More than 90 responders entered a structure, producing intense heat and almost no visibility. A rescue team searching for the men became trapped on the same floor and was forced to issue a mayday before withdrawing. A crane operator also spotted DeMonte and Ruben near a balcony. Workers swung a basket towards them, but thick black smoke erased the view. The operator could no longer see where the men were standing. 15 people were rescued, including the crane operator, who remained suspended above the fire for nearly an hour. DeMonte and Ruben did not make it out. The live stream lasted roughly 1 minute, but it captured the speed with which an ordinary working morning became an impossible emergency. DeMonte had gone to the site to provide for his children, aged 13, 12, 10, and 5. Instead, his final public message became a direct plea from inside one of the largest fires Charlotte had seen in decades. The families later filed a wrongful death lawsuit, alleging serious failures in fire planning, emergency preparation, and access to working water systems. The companies disputed no specific allegation publicly, saying only that the complaint was under review. A GoFundMe that was started to support his widowed family reached just $8,000 of its $20,000 target. Thank you so much for watching. I'm uploading daily true crime and dark content here on this channel, so make sure that you're subscribed, hit like on the video, and also drop a comment so you get shown more of my stuff. Please do be careful out there, and I'll see you tomorrow.